number 14, and Bram just reminded me 14 is the number. Valentine's Day coming up. You're such a romantic, mate. Welcome to the stage, Bram. Good to see you again. You well?
Absolutely fine, and looking forward to today's session with Sarah.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Are you in Adelaide at the moment?
I am.
Yeah. So how'd the heat wave go? You got a bit of heat over the last few weeks, and
Thank God for air conditioning.
it's calming down. Very good. Very good. Well, good to see you again, Bram and Kylie. Lovely to see you. How are you? You're well. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this session.
Yes, we've got Sarah Bishop. Now, Sarah, before I introduce Sarah, welcome to the stage officially, Sarah Bishop. Great to have you with us. I'm going to share a bit of a story. So I actually, 6 months ago, I reckon it was, I actually was on a course with about, I think maybe about 15 people in the room. And you know when you kind of scan a room and you kind of go, yeah, you know, there's a kind of player over there, and yeah, that one, you're kind of scoping it out. It was a standout. I must say, Sarah was probably a standout from the start, but I timed the moment in which, you know, you pair up and you do exercises together. So this was like a coaching development course. And so there's a lot of like, you know, one-on-one stuff where you have to pair up and you know, work with each other and work through the frameworks. So I kind of let the best for last, is what I kind of scanned the room. I knew she was the best. And I said, you know, I'm going to time my run, and I got it right. And I've got to say, sitting down with Sarah and going through the frameworks, I felt very comfortable with in doing so, because I felt I had someone that was very capable and someone that I felt I could really trust immediately. Very professional, very well spoken, very articulate. But in terms of listening and learning more about her background, it was the right choice, because it got a bit personal, like you had to open up a bit and have that vulnerability. And so I timed that exercise with the right person. I was really delighted. So that's a bit of an intro, but you didn't know that, did you, Sarah?
I did not.
Structured, all strategic. It was all strategic, but it was actually really interesting as well in terms of Sarah's timing of going down this particular path. And I won't steal her thunder, but that's something I thought that when is the right time? You know, when is the right time to take that leap of faith? Are you going to wake up one morning and go, yeah, now's the time? And looking back, I think all of us have already kind of gone down that road. There never is a really right time, is there? You kind of got to take the leap of faith. But Sarah, I thought in your situation, you have a lot to offer. You have taken the leap of faith. You started your own business here as well. So we want to hear more about you. And the session's all about you. And so we're going to sit back and enjoy. But maybe just start with some context and give us a bit of background and the lead up, and then how it's all going. So look, over to you, Sarah. Welcome to the stage. Welcome to Beyond Business.
Wow, thank you. What a welcome. Who knew it was that strategic all the way?
Very strategic.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I guess so. A bit of background. My professional journey, I did the usual things, went to uni, got a job, progressed, changed around a little bit, found myself in a leadership management position in a great organisation that I loved, but felt a little bit lost. It didn't quite fit where it just didn't quite feel right for me at the time. So that was 12 years ago. I ended up giving 5 months notice. I gave myself plenty of time to adjust my new reality. And I thought, look, I'm just going to step out of this for a bit and spend a couple of months doing some PD and trying to work out what my next move was. Honestly, I thought I would go back into the workforce and find another job, but instead my path went somewhere different, and I started a business, a consulting business. That was 12 years ago, and then about a year ago I started getting a bit restless again, not because I don't love what I do in that original business, but just because I felt like there's something more for me out there. That led me to meeting Arthur at a coaching development course, and this year I've just launched a new business in addition to my existing one, which focuses on coaching and helping people through transitions, so it's quite fitting.
Fantastic. So I want to kick off with the questions. How was the first 3 months going for you?
Look, it's been very busy, a very steep learning curve. So while I have learnt a lot previously about how to run a business, running a business that is focused on consumers as opposed to business clients is a very different beast. I've had to put myself in front of the camera instead of behind it, which has been very uncomfortable for me. But
You're doing it again now, by the way.
I know, absolutely, right? So yes, I am a little bit nervous about this, but it's good. It's been good growth for me, good challenge, and I'm really starting to enjoy, stepping outside of those comfort zones and trying new things. So yeah, the business officially launched at the start of this year, but it's been a whole lot of work in the background for the 6 months prior to get to this point. Yeah.
So the camera you're talking about creating content to originate, and so is that, have you done that before? And no, so someone in that same predicament, what do they expect? Like what should they expect, and or do they follow this path and they're not prepared to do so? I mean, let's just call it out. Like if you're not able to self-generate and originate opportunities, and you're dependent on referrals from others if you can't generate your own. Is it right for them?
Yeah, look, I think it's hard. I mean, most people, if they're not used to being in front of a camera, even anyone who is used to it, if you think back to the first time you did it, I'm sure it was uncomfortable and unnatural. So I think we need to be careful not to be deterred by that initial fear. It is something that you can overcome. It's just working on that self-talk and just giving yourself some time to practice. Do what you need to do to make you feel more comfortable. The first video I recorded, I think took me about 50 takes to get down. I've done a few since then, and I think I'm up to about, my average is about 25 versions before I get it right. So hopefully with a little bit more time, I'll get a bit quicker. But it's really, I guess, trying to step outside of those fears that we all have around, oh, what are people going to think? What if I say something wrong? What if I accidentally swear, which I did say before we went live, that is a risk. I apologise in advance. But remembering that, focus on the message that you're trying to deliver. And I think if you're genuinely trying to offer a service or a product to help people, keep that in mind and just be genuine about it. Yeah.
The concept of a transitions manager or professional coach. So what's happening in the mind of the person that you're trying to gravitate towards? What's happening for them? And how do you propose to assist them?
Yeah, look, I think certainly, I know from my own personal experience, I've had times where I felt really stuck and I couldn't quite work out what that was about or how to get out of that. Or perhaps other people find themselves in a situation where something in their life has happened, which means they now need to recalibrate or think about what their life looks like in this new reality. So typically it's a lot of confusion, a lot of circular thinking. What if this, what if that, what should I do? I don't know what to do. Maybe a lot of opinion shopping, trying to talk to other people. What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? But, waking up one morning thinking, right, I'm clear, I'm going to go this way. And then, 2 hours later, no, I'm clear, I'm going this way. So I guess it's just a whole lot of confusion. So, and it's certainly what the experience was like for me. So what I like to do is work with people and really helping them first quieten down that noise. So separate what's going on for them, trying to really articulate what are those feelings, and separate their expectations about what they want and perhaps what they think other people expect of them, or what they should want, or what they should be doing. And I think once we can connect people into their values and what really matters to them, then that's a really good foundation, and we can start designing, well, what does that look like in practical terms in reality going forward?
I mean, where were you 13 years ago? Like, I was going through that exact same. When I first started my business, I came up with a concept. It was a food truck. Anyway, so it was like I needed to convince myself. It was it was in your face, so obvious. It was like, so I was talking to my friend, we were in the middle of a gym workout, and I was talking about my idea, and you know, you did it in a very professional way. He did it as like, you know, what a typical friend of mine's way would say. It's like, what is your issue, man? Just grow a pair and get in there and do it. It's the best idea ever. I'm like, what's your problem? It's so obvious. But it was so obvious, and even though it was so obvious, it was like I needed that kind of reaffirmation, you know, just to say, you know, have the courage to go for it in his way. But even when it's so obvious, we still put this block potentially in front of that fear, isn't it? It's that overcoming that fear of failure or wherever it might be. And even though it might be so obvious that it's the right option or the right path to take, we still kind of either put that block in front of us or we continually sabotage our own situation. So that happened to me. So anyway, my mate Theo, if you're watching, thank you very much for the encouragement. You did a good job. But yeah, look, I'm going to hand over to Kylie and Bram. Kick us off, guys. Any questions for Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's where I want to go, right? Because I think not only I want you to answer it for yourself, Sarah, but also how you might answer it for our audience, right? Because I think if you're really honest with yourself, and I know I do a lot of coaching in this space as well, is that, you know, sometimes we're not sure what we're scared of the most, whether it's failing or whether it's being stuck, right? So it might not be stuck in a role that they're in, that I want to be in, like you were, and thinking about that new adventure. But what scared you the most? Was it failing, okay, or was it being stuck doing the same old grind every single day, even though you knew you had more to give? And what advice do you have for our audience if they might be having that feeling of being scared or failing, or staying stuck and just keep doing what they do every day because I've got a regular income, I've got safety, I've got flexibility, I've got my friends there, whatever it might be?
Yeah, look, 100%. I think for me, I was scared of the uncertainty. So I'm a planner. I like to plan ahead. I like to know what's coming. So for me, not having that, kind of stepping into the unknown, was scary. But I really like what you've said, Kylie, that the moment for me when I left full-time employment, I was sitting at my desk and everybody else had gone home. And I thought to myself, do I want to be here in 5 years' time? And people talk a lot about, well, you left with nothing to go to, what a big risk. But people, what about the risk of staying? You know, what about the risk of continuing to do the same thing and potentially missing out on opportunities to live a different life? Or, you know, as I said, I enjoyed that job, but when I left, it gave me the opportunity to live a life on my terms with agency, more flexibility. And I can't imagine now not having that. So yeah, I think people are really, I mean, your brain will naturally tell you it's too scary, it's too risky, because it's trying to keep you safe, right? But I think it's about approaching that self-talk with curiosity and saying, but what if it doesn't? What if it is better? What if I can do this? Instead of just letting that kind of fear narrative drive you. Yeah.
I think those curious questions are important for sure, but I also think it's about the stories we tell ourselves, right? That, you know, maybe, and like the stories you might have heard, Harper, right? That you're not going to be able to do it, and you're not going to make the money, or it's not going to work, and people are going to think that was just a stupid move, and why would you do that, right? All of those stories in our head that keep us safe. And I actually think that, I remember when I started my business 13 years ago, I remember someone saying, well, if you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? Like, if you can't back yourself, then who can you back? And I was like, yeah, that's great. I need to do this. And I was scared, and there was months of scaredness. But to me, I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't do it. So I hope the audience asks those curious questions, but they also feel that they can think about who they might become by taking that
Yeah.
risk.
The interesting one is, and Bram, I know that you don't ask a question, I just want to get this one out, is many of our viewers are employers of people.
Yeah.
So how do they ensure they've got an awareness to, because the workplace setting has changed over time, and people are always looking for other, opportunities where how do employers today adjust, understand, appreciate, but most importantly are aware, of potentially these goals being wanted to be achieved by their own people, and how does that then work, in their current structure or their current, framework of employment. And I heard a statistic the other day, like the average tenure at an employer these days is 18 to 24 months. It's even less than what I last heard it. So it's like this constantly moving piece. And so it's just an interesting set of challenges that employers have, but also an interesting set of challenges that employees have, wanting more, whilst wanting to have the security that we talked about earlier. Maybe we'll put a pin in it and we can visit it after Bram's next question. Over to you, mate.
Appreciate it, mate. Look, one thing that I'm sensing a lot with you, Sarah, already from the information that was shared in between before this live stream, is that you seem to be very self-aware and very sensing, as in like tune in with your feelings. I just wonder, like, what could people potentially take away from how you go about building that self-awareness muscle that identify that, hey, something's off here, and then using your value system, one of which was planning and creating some certainty in the midst of uncertainty. What would people take away to kind of practice some good disciplines that help them to make that transition? I think that's really, you talked about self-talk and all of that. Well, can we just put something specifics there together that would be quite helpful for people out there that want to make a big leap, but something holds them back, as Kylie said?
Yeah, look, I think for me, there's some, I guess, rituals that I do every day that give me the space to be able to tap into what my feelings are, what's going on for me. So it's really about creating that space, even if it's 10 minutes in a day, just to kind of sit and listen to what's going on inside. For me, it used to be running. Unfortunately, my knees no longer enjoy that activity. So it's walking. But I think, the other thing is, like, I didn't do this by myself. I had some amazing mentors that, when I stepped out and launched my first business, about 6 months in, I had a really low point and I felt a bit lost. I didn't have the job title that I had before, and I had an amazing friend and mentor jump in and be there for me and push me and help me set me some targets and get me on the right path again. So I think probably that's one of the biggest things too. Like, you can do a lot of self-reflection, but it helps when you tap into a network of people that have done it before, or coaches or mentors, people with experience that can actually create that environment for you to be able to tap into those things and learn those lessons.
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
What's the, maybe let's go to that scenario before, like, what are you seeing at the ground level with the audience that you're trying to connect with? And so it's individuals looking to transition out of, is it employment, or could even be self-employment into employment? Like, it could be the other way too, right? Like, is that the only audience? Do you think that it could actually be others?
Yeah, look, actually my business Activate Life is more broader than just professional settings. So it's really for individuals that are facing transitions personally. It's not so much for professionals, but we know that, behind every professional, behind every leader or manager is a human being that has a whole lot of other roles and a whole lot of other stuff going on in their lives. So what I'm seeing a lot is people getting to a point where they've ticked all the boxes that they thought they should tick in terms of getting a job and buying a house and getting married and having children or not having children, and then feeling a bit like, oh, my life, how did I end up here? I'm not quite sure how I got here or what's next for me. And I'm also seeing people that are coming up against time-sensitive decisions. So should I relocate perhaps for a new work opportunity, or even, in the spirit of the upcoming Valentine's Day, for love? Or perhaps, I'm also...
Do it.
I mean, something also that I'm seeing quite common is females in particular coming to their late 30s or 40s that have got a career and have been focused on their career and now need to make that decision about whether they want to try to be a parent or not, whether they see that in their future, and that's a time-sensitive decision for a lot of people. So I guess it's a lot broader than just professional transitions, but really looking, where I want to work is in that space between where people realise this is the life I was living, the structure, it's kind of not working in this structure anymore for me. And I work in that space before they've really determined what that next thing is to help them do that.
I'm going to say that's got a lot. Oh, sorry, Bram.
I was just wondering. Sorry, very very brief question, but what's typically the tipping point? Because there's a time when people kind of say enough is enough. What do you see that your audience typically comes back with that kind of makes them edge the other way and willing to take the leap?
Yeah, you know what it is? I think it's when people actually, I see it a lot, people coming back after they've had a holiday because they've had the space to stop and all of those things start rising up. I see people come back and go, right, that's it, something's got to change this year. A lot of, New Year's resolutions. The other thing also is sometimes circumstances not force people, but nudge people into that decision point. So a relationship might break down. There might be health issues. Somebody might find themselves now needing to step up into a caring role, or perhaps take a step back because they have health issues that they need to deal with. So I think it's, sometimes it's self-driven about this feeling of unrest, but a lot of the time it's because circumstances are kind of showing up and holding a mirror to somebody at that particular time saying, okay, now's the time. Yeah.
I'm going to challenge some of the thinking that our audience might be, especially what you're talking about there, Sarah, because I actually think there's a lot of ego that plays in part of this, right? I've got a status, I've got a job, I've got an income, I've got this, and now all of a sudden I'm no longer that, right? So I think ego plays a big part in decision making. I'm sure there's some triggers that happen for sure, but I think it's people's egos that keep them in positions and I coach a lot of executives that keep them in positions because it's status, it's their role, it's the income, it's because my friends know what I do and who I am and all of that. How does that
agree? 100% agree.
Certainly,
one of the things that I struggled with when I stepped out of full-time employment is I no longer had a title. And I no longer had a certain income level initially. And that was really hard because so much of my identity was tied into that title and that external expression or representation of who I was and what my value was. So completely agree, Kylie.
Of being the marketing extraordinaire that I am, self-proclaimed, very, very true. But sometimes you don't make the choice. The choice is made for you. And I think that's the person that you probably can find or tap in and connect with that would probably need the most help, because all of a sudden, abruptly, that person may not have a role anymore. And that person would arguably have to then seek support in terms of dealing with those potential inattentions and working through them to move forwards. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, you know, we'll stay in because we're choosing to, but what if that's not your choice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of stuff here about self-talk is one thing that Sarah said. Identity, you know, who am I? What do I represent? What's important to me? And suddenly, do I still have it, or did I lose it? So I hear a lot of mindset stuff, a lot of attitudinal stuff, like how people think and how they talk is really pivotal to either make it successful or not, especially if you're being let go of. Well, you can give it two ways of a viewpoint, right? You can see it as a setback, or you can see it as actually, this is actually serving me because I've always wanted to do something different. Now I'm being given the chance. It's all about how we go about it.
Yeah, that's very true. Just conscious of the time, we've only got a couple of minutes left. It's been, would you believe, it's already about 26 minutes, so we're nearing the end of the 30 minutes. It's almost done. I might just ask you a question that we ask our special guests, Sarah, and that question is, if our audience can take one thing away, or one main message or lesson that you are happy to share with them, what would that be?
Just one. That's very hard.
Well, we're happy with two, but let's start with one and see where it goes.
Look, I think the one that helped me the most was taking some time to define what success means to you, your own measure of success, instead of following the measures that we naturally absorb as we're growing up. That really became a pivotal change point for me when I did that, and realised that it's up to me to determine what success is for me. Mm-hmm. No, I don't need to measure my own success against anything else other than what I set for myself. And I think that's very liberating and very freeing.
Must be music to Kylie's ears.
Yes, it is. It is, and I'm just going to, yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Kylie. Over to you guys.
Yeah. I just want to make some final comments just so the audience can take away some real gold nuggets, because there was some really gold nuggets that came through today, Sarah. So thanks for your vulnerability and sharing not only what you were feeling about that fear and that insecurity, but, you know, that's real stuff, right? And I've been there, Bram's been there, Arthur's been there, and it doesn't matter whether you've been in business for 12 years.
No, I haven't been there, Kylie. What are you talking about?
We need to do some coaching then. But I just want to share some things for the audience to take away. And I think that there are habits and rituals that people follow in order to really have that ability to have that self-awareness. They get a mentor or a coach or someone that is an amazing sounding board. They have opportunities where they take the time to reflect and ask curious questions. They believe in themselves, and I think I can't stop myself, but that is around writing a new story, right? Because this is a new chapter, a new journey, and as much as the fear is there, as you said, Bram, the opportunity is there as well, and it's what side of the coin do we want to look at? So I think that's my takeaway from today.
Awesome, Kylie. Awesome, Kylie. Thank you, Bram. Closing comments for our fantastic guest, Sarah.
Look, I think we always know, like, if something nudges us, as you beautifully used the word, Sarah, I think we just got to give it really an opportunity by actioning it. So whatever it is that is nudging at you, just go for it, please. Nike said it already for so long.
Yeah, it's okay to be scared, isn't it? It's okay to have fears. It's okay to have all those emotions that come up. That's just human, right? But you know, I always remember what they say, you know, what people say on their deathbed. And that is that they actually look back and look at the things that they were grateful that they chose to do, rather than, and therefore regret the things that they didn't. So I think this is just a beautiful message to remind people that life isn't meant to be easy, and it will make you scared, and there will be some fears, but you just got to knock through those. Don't let them be there too long.
Yeah. Awesome. So in terms of my closing comments, good luck with your new business. I think there might be some ideas that kind of come out for this chat that could, I guess, influence your targeting or your target client or group. Obviously, there's the persons that have been, potentially let go and, have been forced into that situation and probably be an opportunity. Obviously, those, that internal tension that Kylie identified, but also, potentially larger employers or employers of people bringing people that can help their people work through, I guess, those life stages that you described. An interesting one is, your example in regards to starting a family. Well, what about the decision that you've now raised your family? Are you going to go back in, or are you going to go full time? There's those decisions too. So you've got that life cycle with all these points of, tension within ourselves to decide, well, which way I'm going to go and where do I want to take it. So, but to your point, it's, what success looks like for you, and that might be what it may look like 5 years ago, but regularly check in on that, I would have thought would be a good exercise, because you may have met those goals and now it's time to create some new ones, and or maybe something's happened where success means totally something different today. Yeah. Lovely having you on the show, Sarah. Best of luck.
Thank you.
You still owe me a coffee.
Sure, that's fine. Happy to take you up on that.
Done. We'll catch up soon, but connect with Bram and Kylie. They're awesome people. Great to have in your network. Good luck on your new venture, and thank you for being on the show. And all the best. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Bram. Thanks, Kylie. See you soon.
Thank you.